everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. And, of course, we got Pags on the beach. Damn it.
That's where I'll be this weekend.
I mean, I could go to the beach, but it'd be a little cold.
Yeah, it's actually it's a beautiful. I want to say about 75 degrees.
Perfect.
It's yes. Perfect is a good response here. So,
absolutely.
Got a cabana, got a chair. Enjoying life here at the moment.
I like it. So when do you head back?
So I'm going to be here till Sunday, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're out there all week. Nice.
Hey, I might be able to meet you out there before you leave because I'll be leaving for Florida Thursday night and I'm getting there Saturday.
When where are you going to in Florida?
Clearwater.
Oh, well then, yes, we could actually have a cocktail together on Saturday evening.
Because my daughter, we're taking my daughter to swim with dolphins for her birthday on Sunday, and then we're renting out another boat on Tuesday to go on a dolphin cruise Tuesday through Thursday.
Sweet.
Well, I won't be here to go dolphin swimming with you, but I will be here to have a cocktail on Saturday.
Sweet.
Perfect. So, but
he's down in Florida.
Yes, I am in Clearwater Beach, Florida.
And I'm guessing the water is clear.
Well, I haven't been in the water. You know what? I'm not much of a I'll go into the ocean typically, but this is like the bay water. Yeah, I don't know, the Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico or
just call it the
whatever.
Just call it the Gulf. Just call it the Gulf.
That was like when they did the Freedom Fry thing. Like, come on, just shut up.
Just call it the Gulf.
Right. I mean, that's generally what you do anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is a Gulf. So, listen, guys, obviously I'm on the show right now, so I have heard that right now there is a press conference going on with Brandon Graham, deciding on whether he's going to remain and play one more season or if he's going to retire. I would have odds on that it is retirement because you don't have a press conference to say you're staying.
Right.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, he's crying, so it's retirement. I just got a text message saying, yeah, he's crying. That means he's going to retire.
Every time.
Yeah. Every time. It's like, you don't cry to say, hey, I'm staying around one more year. I can't stand it. I got to. No, it's definitely.
Yeah.
At least this is going out on top, though.
Exactly.
He is going out on top, and I'm all right with that. So, but yeah, as Super Bowl champion, I mean, you can't really beat it. I would say that if he did not tear his tricep again, it may have been more likely that he stayed. The fact that he tore it again playing in that game.
Yeah.
That's really what did it. It's just the body starts to break down. Let's face it, he'll never have to buy another beer in Philadelphia ever again.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, like a meal, beer, anything, he's going to be taken care of for just about the rest of his life in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's also, I mean, you think about this, there's not many 2 Super Bowl champions from Philadelphia. Right. That's really counted on both hands. I think that there's 6 in total.
Mm-hmm.
You know, beyond the coaches, I think Stoutland is one of the coaches that makes it. Howie, you know what I mean? Obviously. But when you think about it, it's like Lane Johnson, who just got another 1-year contract.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts was not on that team.
No.
So you have So no, he was not on that team. Uh, he may have been drafted, but was not on the team per se. I think that he was because what happened is like you get medically cleared not to play.
Yeah.
So and that's
What
that
you're
you
saying
don't
is
get
he
a
might have
ring for
still got
that.
a ring.
No, you don't get a ring for that.
Oh, okay.
If you don't say like if you don't, you're
It's not
not
like-
on the roster.
It's not like
Oh, sure.
baseball. It's not like baseball where if you're on the roster for one game during the season, you get a ring. No
Well,
matter.
no, you do get that. If you were on the roster and then you got traded during the season, you could still get a ring. The team would have
Or
to.
if you were on the roster, like if you jumped on the team for a minute, and if you're even on the practice squad,
Yeah.
you get a ring. You know, like so, but it's got to be. I think at the beginning of the season, once they cut down to 53, if at any point you are part of that 53, because you only dress 45.
Yep.
So it's that now I think that's over. It's like I know that there's 53, but they have that 15 man. That's now 15 men on the practice squad, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, he announced just announced he retired. So
Yeah.
congratulations to Brandon Graham. Like I said, he's one of the two people that I can think of right off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of who on the defense may also fall into that category. There wasn't really anybody that I could think of that's. You have Brandon Graham, you have Lane Johnson.
Are you talking the ones that have the 2 Super Bowls?
Yeah,
There's 4 players.
the kicker, right?
Jake Elliott, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, and then the long snapper, Jake Lovato.
Yep. All right. So that's why it makes sense.
Are the only 4 that have the 2 rings.
Okay.
There you go.
So he's one of 4 people that gets to fall into that category. So
Which I mean
And
makes sense when you think about it, because I mean it's enough years removed, right? As much as people move around the league, just year to year, let alone a handful of years later.
well, and he was 15 years with one team. And you think about some of the players that have been on this team for their entire career. Lane Johnson being one of them. Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Jake Elliott. You know, and Jake Elliott, like when he got into that season, like he wasn't even on the roster day one.
Nope.
Yeah.
You know, he came on the roster in week 3 against the Giants because our kicker stunk or got hurt or something.
I think it was both. I think he was like 2 for 5 kicking field goals to start the season, and then he ended up getting hurt anyways.
Right, exactly. So there's yeah, it is what it is. Okay, I now just got the notice. There it is. Brandon Graham retires.
Nice.
Yeah, from the Eagles. They just said, yeah. Too bad. So sad. Is today your birthday, Bo?
It is.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. See, I didn't even know that. See, that you could celebrate your birthday on one of the most famous party days of the year. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Patty's Day the day before is not a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I celebrate mine on Halloween, and I'm a whole 11 days ahead of it.
Yep. No, it's funny because mine and my dad's are a day apart. So my dad's is tomorrow.
Gotcha. So you had to share a lot of birthdays.
Yeah, which works out because neither one of us care about our birthdays, really.
Well, especially now.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like I find birthdays interesting. Thanks, Wen. I find them interesting, like on the decade, right? It's like, oh, okay, like I made it.
I made it
didn't kill myself. That's a
made
win.
it another year. That's all that matters.
No, another 10, right? Like when there's a 0 on the back side of it, then I'm like, oh, okay, let's do something. But otherwise, like, I don't know, it's a Tuesday, right? Like, I mean, I have to do normal stuff. So
True.
on the random time that it falls on a weekend, you know, I entertain it more. But during the middle of the week, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, just general adulting has to happen.
Understood.
But
And what are you, 42 now?
44.
Getting up there.
Yeah, that's what my joints tell me anyway.
Time to buy different joints.
Yeah, you know, that's what, like a decade later, right? Like the 50s. That's
I was
when
going to say there. No. I'm just talking about that. With all the dispensaries out in Seattle, you can definitely buy different joints.
No, you know, it's funny. That stuff does not do anything for me. It just, for whatever reason, the way I metabolize stuff. I had a buddy of mine make me a 100 milligram edible, right? But so that was the first time I felt anything out of any of them. It was just like, okay, this is a waste of time.
Gotcha. I mean, I thought you knew somebody really close to you that could make that type of stuff, but I don't. I'm not trying to put your business out there.
So the thing that's funny is the guy that made the edible is where she gets the RSO oil. So, so yes, I do. But the stuff, I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. It just and then it wears off really fast. So it's like, yeah.
Gotcha. So anyways, Dustin was up at 5 o'clock this morning watching baseball. What happened this morning, Dustin? Tell us about the first game of the year.
5 a.m. baseball sucks. I'm going to start by saying that because who in their right mind wants to effing get up and watch baseball at 5 a.m.? Apparently me, but it was as expected. I mean, Dodgers are the Dodgers. They were getting no hit for 5 innings, and then get to the 6th inning, you make a pitching change, they score 3 runs, and that's it. They win 4-1.
Who was the pitcher for the Cubs?
Shota Imanaga.
So Imanaga, of course, obviously, you're going to pitch all your.
It was Imanaga versus Yoshi Yamamoto. So obviously, 2 Japanese pitchers win today, and then tomorrow, Roki Sasaki's pitching, obviously Japanese, so they're going to start him tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it was quality of baseball. You can tell wasn't great just because a lot of these players are still in spring training mode yet because there's still 2 weeks of spring training yet. So a lot of them are still out there getting into their pitching shape where they're still on pitch counts. A lot of the hitters are still not in regular season mode where you can tell during some of their at-bats they're still working on a lot of things that they wouldn't be working on if this was not spring training. Like even like today, like Mookie Betts was out today, Freddie Freeman was out today. But they even said the same thing that had this been like April 3rd or whatever, like a normal opening day, both Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts are probably in the lineup. It's just that they're dealing with minor aches and pains right now, and because this is only a 2-game series, there's no reason to throw them out there when you're going to need them later on down the road anyways. So it's still yes, obviously this was the regular season opener, but it doesn't have that regular season opening feel just because the pitchers are still on like a 70 to 75 pitch count yet. The relievers are still basically on a 1-inning pitch count. Hitters are still doing things that they typically won't do in the regular season, so the quality of play wasn't great, but it was as expected. The Cubs basically competed with the Dodgers for 6 innings, and then the Dodgers have their one big inning that they always have, and that's it.
Gotcha. Well, so right now the Dodgers lead the Major League Baseball with record.
Yep.
Because I don't think they make the playoffs this year.
I mean, it is really cool. The thing I do like about this, they call it the Japan series because both the Dodgers and the Cubs also had 2 exhibition games against Japan teams over the weekend. So they're actually playing like other Japan teams before they play themselves. But the thing that's really cool about this series is you just get to see how different baseball is in Japan. and like how much more the fans take it seriously. Like they're cheering the whole game. There's cheerleaders in the fans. They're doing like a lot of things that Major League Baseball doesn't do, and it just goes to show you like how valuable Major League Baseball is to the Japan culture and just how serious they take it. And even when there's like players and teams from different countries that come to their country to play baseball, they welcome them with open arms. They treat them like family. They treat them like they're actually a team that is from Japan. It's just amazing to see how much they embrace the game of baseball there.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. Like that baseball in Japan is like football is in America.
Yeah. But it's just like, even like with football in America, though, like you don't have the aspect where you can just call a team from like Japan and say, bring your Japan football team to the United States and play a game with us. Like we obviously go international. Like every year the NFL is going to different countries to play games. And obviously like the fans show up because they want to see American football versus this aspect. Japan is going to invite American teams over to Japan every year if they can. And it's just amazing. Like the fans treat these American teams like they are part of Japan when they get there. Like you would never guess that the Cubs and Dodgers were from the United States if you just watch how the fans have been towards them all week. You would think that they're actually part of the MPB.
Okay. Well, I want to see what happens when the Savannah Bananas go over there.
I think that's coming eventually. I think it's coming eventually. I think it's going to get to the point like where the Savannah Bananas are doing, I'd say maybe less games in the United States throughout the year, because right now I think they have like 250 days of the year they're playing games. I don't know how many games they play, but it's like, or no, they play like 150 games throughout the year, but a lot of it's like 2 games the same day where you'll have an afternoon game and then an evening game. I could see them doing less games stateside eventually and then kind of taking their talents to like other countries like during the wintertime.
Well, I can imagine, like, yes, I think that's like go to Japan and doing it during the winter. I mean, Japan has winters as well, though, I would assume.
I mean, they do get
similar, but
they do get snow like when you get to like Osaka and like some of the upper elevation cities in Tokyo or the upper elevation cities in Japan where you have the mountains, like they get snow there. But it's wintertime in Japan is typically in the 40s and 50s. It's very rainy, it's very damp, and it's very cool. So the weather is not
Seattle weather.
the weather's not great, but it's not like a typical winter unless you get into the higher elevations. Like today for the Cubs Dodgers game, it was 44 degrees and raining outside. But obviously they're in the Tokyo Dome, so that. But like winter in Japan, it's considered a mild winter, considering what I have and what you get sometimes in Philadelphia would be considered a mild winter. It's just very damp and rainy this time of year in Japan.
I understand that. And, well, even still, like if they're playing in a dome is climate controlled.
I think there's 12 or 14 Japanese baseball teams, and I think 12 of them play in a dome. There's only 2 outdoor stadiums in Japan, so most teams actually have a dome because they know this time of year it's going to be very rainy, it's going to be very damp, and it's going to be very wet. So instead of canceling games, just give all these teams a dome, and then you just play them as is.
Joe, I imagine they don't really watch it because it's the middle of the night also.
Like the Yomiuri Giants, who the Cubs played on Sunday as one of their exhibition games, the first 30 games of the year they play in the Tokyo Dome. But then the rest of the season they actually play in an outdoor stadium when the weather gets nicer. So they actually have 2 separate stadiums they play in. They just play the first half of the season indoors because they know weather's going to play a factor. And then when they get closer to the summer, then they go outdoors because the weather's nicer.
But is it one of those things that are they able to switch locations? Hey, we're going to have a rainstorm here for this series, so we're going to play the Tokyo Dome.
Yep, they can as long as it works out for scheduling. Like the Yomiuri Giants and I believe the Yokohama Bay Stars are the only 2 teams that have the 2 stadiums where they play in a dome and they play outside. So you could have a situation where if it's 81 degrees today, they could be like, we're not going to play in the Tokyo Dome today. We're just going to go across town and play on the outdoor stadium. Or if they have a game scheduled outdoors and all of a sudden a rainstorm comes in, they'll be like, we're just going to move across town and play in the dome today. As long as it works out and nobody else is using that venue, they can alternate where they want to play.
I mean, there's got to be some logistical situations that deal with that. I mean, tickets are a pain in the ass, but
Yeah,
I
I mean that
guess
did actually happen in the World Baseball Classic last year because Tokyo was hosting the qualifying rounds. The first day of qualifiers, they actually played in the Tokyo Dome because of weather. The next day of qualifiers, they went across town and played outside because it was like 68 and sunny. So they actually played in both venues each day.
okay. Well, I mean, I guess, like I said, how many people were at the stadium? Was it sold out?
Third sold out crowd of 37,640 this morning, which
37,000.
Yep,
It's a small stadium.
it's the biggest one in Tokyo. Tokyo Dome is basically the Dodger Stadium of the Japanese League. It's the biggest stadium attendance-wise.
So, what typical stadiums are what, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30, 25 to 30?
25 to 30, yeah. Smallest stadium is 22.6, and then the Tokyo Dome is the largest stadium at like 37.8.
I mean, because the Dodgers are at what, 48,000?
56.
56 with standing room, 48,000 seats.
Yep, 48,000 seats, 56 standing room, and then the second biggest stadium is Yankee Stadium at 52, 53, and then Coors Field is 51. Those are the only three that are over 50.
Yeah, because I know that it was only 48 at max capacity at Citizens Bank.
Yep.
Yeah, with standing room only and everything else.
Yep.
So, okay. Until they start playing in football stadiums, which, I wouldn't recommend unless you're the Banana Balls.
Right.
Because they had to have, they were hitting the balls. It was interesting to me that there's a lot of left-handed batters at Banana Ball.
Okay.
And the short field was right field. So there was a number of line drives that may have been home runs, but hit the fence or hit the netting and just came back into play because that's what it was. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's in play. It's almost like having a green monster.
So I was looking up how many, what the capacity was at T-Mobile because we don't sell that out.
I think it's like 47, isn't it?
It's almost 48, so it's 47.9. So standing room only, you'd get to 48. Yeah. But I couldn't remember because I can't remember the last time they sold that park out.
Home run derby in the All-Star game.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually would have held more because I think they brought some extra seating.
Yeah, I think that was like 53 or 54 for the home run derby in the All-Star game.
Yep.
But after watching the Tokyo series this morning, I'm not going to be surprised if you start to see Major League Baseball kind of do what the NFL is doing, which you're already seeing it because you have teams that are now going to London every single year and playing those 2 games in London. I wouldn't be surprised if you see teams start going to Korea, playing in some.
Are there teams going to London this year?
There should be. Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, I think they're doing it every year now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought nobody's going this year.
No, nobody's going to the Field of Dreams. Because they're redoing that stadium with Field of Dreams right now.
Yeah, but I thought nobody's going to London either. That they
might
didn't
not
have
be
it.
Because of it might not be because of the Tokyo series this year. They might not be going to London, but I could see them start to be oh, we'll have the Tokyo series this year, and then next year the London series, and then maybe send teams to Korea and the KBO stadium, some Mexican League stadiums, just kind of start incorporating them in more countries just because of the World Baseball Classic. You can see how many teams are playing baseball professionally in the world that you start bringing Major League Baseball to some of these venues, you're going to start growing the game in these other countries.
Well, I mean, they're going to need to, right? Because if you're getting close to a baseball strike, they're going to need as many viewers as possible when they get to the other side of that.
Well, that benefits minor league baseball, though, because even if Major League Baseball does go on a strike, minor league baseball can be played as is because it doesn't follow the same guidelines as the Major League Baseball strike. Minor leagues will still be able to operate in 2026 or 2027, which is good for them.
Well, and this is going to turn into a mess.
It will.
Yeah.
This is going to turn into an absolute mess.
Which will be more interesting than the first 2 months of baseball anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be great for minor league baseball because they're going to make so much money that year if there is no baseball because their attendance level is going to go way up because people are going to want to watch baseball. And I was like, well, we don't have Major League Baseball. Let's just go watch the minors. Like, they're going to have record attendances that year.
I disagree with you there. You know, not everybody is like you, Justin. I think that like you have a strong affinity for baseball, probably more so than football. So I think that like you are the anomaly, where I think more people are just not going to go to baseball and not going to care.
No, in fact, if you remember the last strike, it took a long time. Like it took steroids for people to come back to baseball. People were mad about the strike. Like it wasn't I'll just find baseball a different way. They were like, the hell with baseball.
And I think a lot of fans are getting that way now. When you look at the cost of how much games are now, when you look at the contracts that are being given out now, I think fans are getting to the point where it's like, I don't even want to go to games anymore because they're too expensive. I'd rather just sit.
This is part of the problem. This is the $700 million contract effect. You know, how do you pay for $700 million contracts? You got to raise ticket prices. So you start to edge out every fan.
Yep.
You know, that it only becomes corporate that's doing this. That can go to these games.
That's football.
Yeah.
Football has done exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when your average ticket price is $250 to $350, you know, unless you're in Jacksonville or something, but you know, if you're if you're at teams that, you know, win more, ticket prices are crazy.
It is.
You know, a lot of people can't even afford the season ticket anymore. They're lucky if they afford one game. Now, baseball isn't as bad because there's so many more games, but still.
Well, I hear you. I just think that it's you know, I guess I am. See, I'm the lucky one when it comes to this stuff because I mean I go to every game. And trust me, I know exactly how expensive tickets are. And I use that to my advantage actually a little bit because ultimately it's ridiculously expensive. And I couldn't afford it if I didn't have the sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
No, exactly.
I mean it's like that, you know, that patch on my shoulder is the only reason why I could go to these games like that. There are a lot of people that don't have it like that. You know, like, and I can imagine, like, it's, you know, my buddy Chris, you know, he pays for all of his tickets, you know, and so he's got season tickets at home, which I don't have. I don't have that luxury of having every game available at home. So I have to buy those tickets as well. But every away game he goes to, I mean, he went to 20 games last year. You know, that includes the playoffs. He missed the Brazil game because, let's face it, it was Brazil.
Right.
You know what I mean? He couldn't just get down there. He couldn't just fly down there on a Saturday, go to the game, and fly back home on Monday.
Yeah.
So but you know, when you think about all the games that, like, I mean, you try to get into the stadium and, you know, work our magic, you know, because when you're a super fan, you get to play a little bit of a game. You know, it's like you could, the fact that people know who I am makes it easier for me to get to certain spots. Because I have been to mostly every stadium. I know a lot of the ushers. I know a lot of the guys that are around. So they've seen me on TV, so they expect that I'm there.
Yeah.
Where not everybody gets to do that, obviously. It's not simple to do it even in an away stadium. Like I get an usher who's not savvy to what it is that I'm doing. I got to be careful, like, because I'm not trying to fight with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, it's like, all right, sorry, and then you move on and you go somewhere else and you do the same thing over and over again. So you find somewhere that you could kind of settle down. But it's not simple at all. You know, and I said, you guys saw the baseball game. I mean, well, you saw Bo. I mean, it gets a little crazy for me sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so it's.
Although you get some free chicken sometimes too, so that's cool.
Yes, you do get extra chicken. Lots of extra chicken. sometimes. I tell you, we could have fed all of El Salvador with that.
No, man, that was like a 5-pound box. It was amazing.
I mean, he said it right out to us. He goes, "Super fans get extra."
I'm not mad at it.
No, I was not mad at all. I couldn't eat it. We gave it to a whole bachelorette party. We fed the whole bachelorette party.
I mean, really, everybody on that rail. I mean, in the outfield, that box just kind of went down the rail. Everybody was grabbing out of it. It was hilarious.
And there was still extra. Not every stadium is as welcoming as that.
Yeah.
So, but even still, like it's and I try not to take advantage of certain things like that. Like I'm not. I know certain super fans will go to they'll get free drinks all day long and stuff like that, and they can kind of take advantage that way. Obviously, I don't drink, so it's not something that I go through like that. On occasion, I will, when I'm at a baseball game, I'll go get a water ice, just because it's
And
it's
just
the water
to clarify
ice.
for people watching, he means he doesn't drink while he's being the super fan.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rest of the time.
And I tell you, that is only for regular season games too.
Oh, okay.
And down here, I was carrying around a bucket of Surfside iced teas with me yesterday, all game long. So I had a full five pack of Surfside iced teas, which I was very appreciative of.
Nice.
Because it's different. It's different down here than it is back home. When it's back home, there are a tremendous amount more kids. So this is more for the. There are some kids, but it's more for the adults down here, especially on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
man.
That's not typical. But anyways, what else is happening in the world of sports since I am so far removed?
So this is funny. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they both get signed. Burrow already under his new deal. The three of them have a cap hit this year of $115 million. The entire Bengals defense has a $79 million cap hit. That is ridiculous.
Get it out of the way, though.
The biggest thing is
bold strategy.
You're just not going to play defense. That's not going to work out great. Every game they're in is going to be 39-35.
Well, but who's doing? Washington's kind of doing the same thought process.
Yeah, but
invest the money in the offense.
True, but they still have a defense. The Bengals don't play defense.
I mean, they might under their new defensive coordinator now.
I mean, we'll see. You got to have some. You got to have some guys in the room to play good defense.
That's
I think that's going to require you to draft really well. You better draft really well.
Yeah,
especially on defense.
Every person's going to have to be a home run. You're going to have to absolutely kill the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like running it back with what you had last year is going to be awesome.
Well, you already know it's not going to be. Think about it. Truth of the matter is if you could have stopped maybe 14 points from happening, 17 points from happening, you'd have been in the playoffs.
Yep. No,
so they just couldn't stop it at all. At all, they couldn't stop it.
No, they had traffic cones with helmets out there. I mean, everybody's just running through that defense.
And ultimately, how do you get anybody to even come and play there? Because of that.
Well, I mean, the offense is good. So, if you could get, I don't know who's trying to take a discount to go there, though. I mean, you basically have three guys making 65% of their salary cap.
Well, think about it. 115 is not. It's 280. So it's not 65%.
Well,
It's
no, but
more
I
like
think a bigger part of their cap hits are actually next year. So if I remember right, what I was reading before is that number actually gets worse next year.
Yeah, next year gets massive.
Yeah.
See, that's when you start to try to play different games and be like, okay. I mean, Howie's really good at playing some of these games. And who was it that didn't they just free up $49 million somewhere? Who was the team that freed up $49 million?
Chiefs.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they
And what did they do with that $49 million?
They restructured Mahomes' deal and Chris Jones' contract and freed up $49 million in cap space.
Oh, okay. I mean, Mahomes going to restructure every year.
Yeah, and if they were talking about that this morning, actually, like if he were to restructure his contract every year going forward the same way he restructured it this year, every year he's going to create $21 million in cap space for the Chiefs.
And it's not like he's not still getting that money.
Yeah. So I mean,
he's at what point does it catch up?
When he retires.
The year he retires, and all of a sudden he's got, $200 million of cap hit.
Yeah. KC will just not play that year. They won't field the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
I mean, but is that how that works? I mean, are you just deferring it?
It's if you convert it to signing bonus, so I think it doesn't go really against your cap, does it? The signing bonus.
It does. It just you get to pick how it hits.
Yeah. Because
you get to spread the signing bonus over the years that are to come. It still hits you. Like it's not like that is absolved. It just doesn't all hit you the same year.
Yeah.
So that's how
you could Bobby Bonilla it.
No, because they're paying him forever. But I mean, I suppose technically you could. But it's kind of the situation that the Niners have found themselves in, right? Like they kept kicking the can down the road, and that's why John Lynch came out and was like, "Yeah, eventually you got to do a reset." Mm-hmm. And so that's why they let everybody go this year. And when your GM is like, "Oh, we got to do a reset," it's going to be a bad year because they're clearing books.
Right. They gotta work out. Yeah, they have to eat the $100 million in cap space.
Yep.
I mean, the Eagles have learned this early because of having to eat all the cap space from Wentz. And
no, absolutely.
So when you thought about that, okay, they ate that cap space then, but they learned the capology about it. I guess that's what Lynch is doing right now. He's learning the capology of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, eventually it catches up with you, right? Yeah. Like you got to pick the year that you're just like, you know what, we're just going to kind of suck this year. It just is what it is. I mean, the Rams did it after buying that ring. That next year was rough, right? Mm-hmm. Like they were a bad team. Mm-hmm. The Saints tried to do it. They tried to go buy a ring, and then just nobody could figure out how to play football. But they're in that cap trouble now. So they're clearing their books out. So, I mean, everybody ultimately goes through it. It's just, can you win before it all catches up?
And in the Eagles sense, they're doing some of this now.
Yeah. Well, you guys have gotten really lucky in the draft. So when you guys are coming due to pay some of these guys, you can move off them.
I don't know if that's I don't think that you could call that luck.
Well, I mean, it's doing your job right. But, I mean, it's lucky in the way that there's plenty of guys that come through college that look like good prospects that don't always hit.
Yeah.
So there is an element of luck of the guys getting to the next level and actually producing.
And actually staying healthy, too. Because how many times do you see, like, a highly regarded draft prospect that comes through, looks the part the first 2 years of his career, but all of a sudden he gets hurt and he's never the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, like there is elements of luck to it. Obviously, you do all of your due diligence to draft the right guy, and then it's can he catch up to the speed of the NFL? Can he stay healthy? Like there's those elements that you can't really you don't know until they're there.
Yep. And no, I would not sign Aaron Rodgers to be my quarterback.
Come on.
I like the offer that was proposed this morning by Daniel Jeremiah, and it actually made more sense the more you thought about it.
What's
So McCarthy came into last season thinking he was the guy for the future. He ends up getting hurt. He knows he's going to end up sitting next year. So now you get to the offseason before all this happens. He comes into this offseason and wondering if he's going to be the guy or if Darnold's going to be back. Once Darnold leaves, you got McCarthy thinking, I'm going to be the guy now. But now you hear all this Aaron Rodgers talk. So now in McCarthy's mind, he's probably like, does this organization not trust me? Like, do they want to sit me another year? Or, like, where do I stand with this organization? Some people think that the Vikings are not necessarily as sold on McCarthy as Kevin O'Connell is making it seem like they are. So the one trade idea that was being proposed this morning is Minnesota calls the Chargers. They offer JJ
Oh,
McCarthy.
I did see that.
They offer JJ McCarthy their 2025 first-round pick and a third or fourth round picks next year for Justin Herbert. You essentially reunite JJ McCarthy with Jim Harbaugh, had him in college. That offense with the Chargers is built very similar to that offense was built in Michigan, and Minnesota gets a 27-year-old quarterback that's got 5 years of control.
I mean, I could see Harbaugh doing that.
I could too, and if that's the proposal you want, I would sacrifice my first-round pick and another draft pick to bring Herbert in.
I mean, the only reason I kind of like the idea of it is the rest of that team is ready to win today.
Yeah.
Like, if it was still building, it'd be one thing, but the rest of that team is ready to go.
And with all these players on 3 or 4 year deals, Herbert's also got a 4-year deal. Like, this would be your team for the next 4 years. Well, if you're going to win or at least get to the Super Bowl, it would be in this 4-year window. If you don't do it in that 4-year window, then it's basically a complete reset again.
Well, I mean, so if you're looking at it as a 4-year window, then sticking with JJ makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it as we might start losing some pieces next year, then maybe it doesn't. But if you're looking at a 4-year window, then no, you keep the guy that you drafted so high and try and make him work. Like, you had to think he was the guy. I don't know that any of us actually really saw it in Michigan because he wasn't asked to do that much there. But if you think he's that guy, you drafted him where you did, you should probably see it if he can be the guy.
I'm on board to give him the opportunity this year, especially if you bring in a backup like Joe Flacco just for an insurance policy in case McCarthy does get hurt or in case McCarthy's not where you want him to become the week one. But if you
have to anyway because you don't have anybody else on the front.
No, I know that. But like if you're going to go like in a situation where you're deciding between Aaron Rodgers and McCarthy, like if you're going to decide between a veteran, then yes, then I would like the Vikings to entertain that idea for Justin Herbert. Because if you're going to move on from a guy you just drafted for a more proven veteran, at least get a veteran that you know you're going to have for multiple years. And then otherwise you're going to be going into the same situation next year. If you get Rodgers for 1 year, then you're going to play the waiting game again with him the next year. Is he going to come back again? Is he not going to come back again? And that just gives everybody a headache.
I mean, he's going to do this every year. He's done it already for a couple of years. Yeah. I mean, he started doing it before his last MVP season. He's like, I might retire. Like he's mirrored Brett Favre in so many ways. It's ridiculous. So that's why he's probably going to be a Viking because why not?
Right. But that is a move I can see Harbaugh doing, though, just because of the familiarity with McCarthy and the Chargers' offense is designed very similar to what Michigan's offense was designed like.
Sure. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that happening. And if I was the Vikings, I would not want Herbert. I mean, I'm not sold on Herbert. I know that everybody likes talking about this guy, but I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he's as good as everybody thinks he is. He's easy to be able to rattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that offensive line has pretty good protection because the other guy that's pretty easy to rattle is Darnold.
Yeah.
And he ended up with 14 wins.
And you'll have Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson. And when you look at when he had the most success with the Chargers, he had Keenan Allen, he had a healthy Mike Williams, and he had a reliable tight end. So it'd be essentially giving him weapons again, like he's kind of lost the last couple of years with the Chargers.
Well,
I don't know. Realistically, it's probably going to go to Chad's team. He's probably going to be a Steeler after all of this. And I hope it's the case because, man, those personalities are just going to be a dumpster fire, and I'm for it.
Especially now that you got Cameron Hayward taking shots at Rodgers right now, it makes even for more drama that could follow.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like that whole team would just hate each other. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I think that they would wind up actually doing something. Rodgers has got, if he gets with like Pittsburgh, I think he'd have another run in him. I don't think that he would have a run in Minnesota. I think that they know him too well in the North. He could go to like a South team, but I mean, obviously they're stuck with their quarterbacks now because they have, all the quarterbacks are at least $30 million except Carolina's, but he's on a rookie deal.
Yep.
As I try to think of like where else he could make a run, Pittsburgh is the only other spot I can see him making a run.
Yeah.
And I think that actually the dynamic would work really well because that's where you're going to find out how well a coach Tomlin really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I see I think that would actually be a good spot for him to land for a year or two.
So with the talent, absolutely I agree. When it comes to the personalities, that's where we'll see. And the thing is if they're winning, I think it'll be fine, right? Because winning cures all. Yep. But if they're bad, that's where this could get real toxic real fast.
Yes, I agree with that. But that's where I kind of feel that Tomlin is a coach good enough to be able to get around that. I think that he would be able – the defense wins a lot of their games. So the fact that Rodgers only has to win, think about it. Russell Wilson didn't win any games, I feel, for Pittsburgh this past year. There wasn't anything that I remember that says, "Oh yeah, this was a Russell win."
His first start, he had 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. I think
he had a couple of decent wins. Yeah. Fields didn't do anything that made you think he was the reason they won. In fact, of those 4 wins, I would say all of them had defensive scores that put him over the top. So Fields wasn't the answer. Of course, now he's a Jet, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, but I mean, Wilson, he only had 2 games where he looked real good.
Yeah, his first 2 starts, he had 7 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. His first 2 starts. Those were really the only 2 games that he won for Pittsburgh because then the rest of the way he had 10 touchdowns and 6 picks the rest of the way.
But even during those 2 wins, though, the other team stunk.
Well, I mean, you're playing who you play, right?
Yeah.
Right, but that's what I'm getting at. Those weren't wins because of him. Those were team wins, and the defense actually played pretty well, and they didn't really even need him to be as good as he was.
Well, I mean, the defense it played well all year, though. So, I mean, the defense was the only thing consistent about that team.
Till he got up against the Eagles.
Well,
the Eagles spanked him.
If you're on the field all day, you're going to lose.
He beat his first start. He had 3 touchdowns and 1 interception against the Commanders, and he beat the Commanders 28-27. And
that was because the Commanders missed a 2-point conversion.
Well, I think it was late in the game because weren't the Steelers up by 8 or 9 late, and then the Commanders cut it to 1, and then they went for 2 and missed it instead of tying, kicked the extra point to tie it. And then Wilson had 307 or 207 yards passing against the Ravens. They beat the Ravens 18-16. Those are his first 2.
That was defensive. That was a defensive game.
And then his other good game came at the end of the year against Cincinnati, but Cincinnati doesn't have a defense, so that doesn't matter. So his first 2 starts, he beat 2 playoff teams. Those are really the only 2 games where you can look and be like, Russell Wilson played well enough to win these games. Otherwise, the rest of them were just all ugly defensive games that Steelers were just better than their opponent defensively.
And like I said, now, but change that to have 2 more wins, won by a quarterback, and now you have 12 wins, and you win that division.
Yep.
Yeah.
Changes the way that you actually go up against a playoff team, and you could actually go up against Baltimore coming to Pittsburgh. It's a little bit different than Pittsburgh going to Baltimore.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, and I didn't really see him going on that 5-game slide to wrap the year up.
Oh, I didn't either.
I mean, I thought for sure the defense would snag one more.
Yeah. When they lost to the Ravens 34-17, I think that was kind of the backbreaker, where coming into that game, everyone knew that if Pittsburgh won that game against Baltimore, they had the division wrapped up because they would have a 2-game lead essentially with 3 games left, where basically the bottom would have to fall out to lose that division. But after losing that game as badly as they did, and I was like, well, now the Ravens have us in the tiebreaker. I think that was just kind of the gut punch where it's like, well, the run was fun while it lasted. Now it's a matter of we just got to hope that we can sneak into the playoffs.
I mean, I wouldn't rule it out there. We watched the Jags do exactly that.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, they decided after being, well in the lead in their division, they decided 7 games to go, we're just not going to play football anymore and miss the playoffs altogether. So,
lose to the Colts in the last week of the season and watch Houston win the division.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, especially having friends that are Jags fans. It was the how soon can I give you crap about this? Like right now, or do I got to wait a couple days, let the sting wear off?
Did you see what happened in the Knicks and Miami Heat game last night?
No, huh?
So the game was delayed 23 minutes last night because actor Tracy Morgan puked on the floor. So
I didn't see it, but I did see the headline of it this morning. Yeah. He just blew chow just straight up
right on the floor.
Like, oh, okay.
That's funny.
And he wasn't drunk or anything either. Like he actually, I guess, ended up leaving the game because he had the stomach flu. Like he was eating before the game at a restaurant. Got in there, he ordered a drink. He took a drink of it, and then he was taking a sip of water, and then you kind of see him like grab his stomach a little bit, and then just heaved it onto the floor.
Yeah, well,
that's It's a bio problem. They have to clean that up in a bio way, so it's a biohazard.
So, yeah,
and he's had a lot of problems after his accident.
Yeah,
like tons of them. And then, if I remember right, he also had like a kidney transplant or something as well. So I mean, like he's kind of gone through it a little bit. But yeah, Chris, like food poisoning get everybody.
The funny thing is, the thing that I remember Tracy Morgan for, it's not even for like his regular acting. It's when he was the main commercial guy for the ESPN video games. I don't know if you remember those commercials of Tracy Morgan.
I mean, you just froze up on my end, so I didn't even hear what you said.
So remember the old ESPN video game series?
No.
Like ESPN NFL 2K5, ESPN NBA 2K5. Tracy Morgan always did those commercials, and he would always do it with like the cover athletes. So for NHL 2K5, it would be like Jeremy Roenick, and he'd be talking in his Tracy Morgan voice and just imitating all the athletes.
I always just remember him from 30 Rock because he was basically playing himself.
Yeah, isn't Jeremy the one who won the?
I didn't even know who Tracy Morgan was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, comedian.
I heard he was from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, on that note, that's the end of our show. How about that?
It is. That gets us to the end. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate all of you that wished me happy birthday. And if you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Later, guys.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with prim and proper sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports,